Meeting for the Corpus Christi B Corporation, I'd like to call to order. Today's Monday, August 30th. The time is now 2:03 p.m. We'll start with roll call. Ms. Huerta.
President Scott Harris.
Here.
Robert Tamez. Diana Summers.
Here.
Leah Oliveri.
Here.
Lee Trujillo.
Here.
John Valls. Here. Alan Wilson. Here. Michael Hunter. Mr. Hunter, not online today? Okay. All right, we do have a quorum present to conduct the meeting.
Okay, we have public comment. Is there anything? We have a couple of public hearings coming up, so specifically to the action items on the agenda. But is there any other public comment? Anything written? Ms.
No,
Huerta?
sir.
Okay. Okay, very well. We'll move straight into item H, which is our public hearings. First one is public hearing and possible action authorizing Corpus Christi B Corporation business incentive agreement with Texas A&M Corpus Christi in the amount not to exceed $4 million for the Lone Star Unmanned Aircraft Systems Center, and will amend our FY22 budget to appropriate $1.103 million for the first year of funding. We will start with a staff presentation. Mr. Vasey.
Mr. President, members, good afternoon. For the record, Ian Vasey with the Corpus Christi Regional Economic Development Corporation. I was thinking about how to lead into this presentation, but this is actually one of those days that we're going to look back 10 years from now. I'm going to remember the votes we took and remember the actions we took to make these projects a reality. So in 2013, the Type A board approved $600 and something thousand to enter into that first technological kind of step, moving us into becoming one of the, and partnering with the university, become one of the 7 unmanned aerial systems test centers in the country, and that was successful. And the university's really taken steps into that effort. And then I remember Mr. Tamez and Mike Culbertson on our team were both part of that project, and I think they're the veterans around here who remember that. Maybe they both just go, yeah. But they remember that first step, and it took a lot of effort to, it was like when you get into the first of the, how are you going to chase after the iPhone technology or things like that. This is one of those systems, and it's borne fruit. And then you think about it, I showed up in 2015, and one of the things we talked about is building this because technology is evolving so fast that we're going to get into the major retailers are going to be at some point delivering. This isn't about kids playing on their drones and in the backyard or things like that. This is about where technology is going. And within a 10-year period, we're going to see major Fortune, and President Miller is here, and I'm not going to steal her thunder, but there are several Fortune 100 companies that are working with the university and testing these systems, including retailers and pipeline companies and energy companies that are going to use this for commercial value. It's not going to be that long before we're getting packages delivered into our backyards or into things by this drone technology. I mentioned I showed up in 2015, and every mayor that I've worked with is, actually that's not true, Mayor McQueen didn't, he just didn't think anybody, sorry, anybody who came before him was no good, but every mayor I've worked with has talked about the importance of downtown redevelopment and getting the university presence into downtown. And this grant and this project hits 2 birds with 1 stone. It builds on our unmanned aerial systems, and President Miller's going to talk about that in a second, but it also gets the university presence downtown as part of the redevelopment efforts and activating downtown and getting young people wandering around, drinking coffee, and having that vibrancy that we've all talked about. So in a broad nutshell, this $4 million grant will also leverage with $16.3 million of the university's money to go into this. So it's a 4-to-1 ratio of your money, and then $1 of your money, $4 of the university's money going into this project downtown, getting this technology going. And we're not a huge research university like, up in College Station. We have to pick our spots. We have to really pick our niches. And when we've done opposition research against ourselves for our target industry study, which you remember we've all talked about and worked on over the years, I know Mr. Harris and I have talked about it at length as well. One of the things we've done is said, we're going to need to pick the slots, and unmanned aerial systems is one of those, and drone technology is one of those key important things. So with that, we're recommending, the CCRADC board is unanimously recommended in favor of this project. So that's the recommendation of the first step to you. And the $16.3 million from the university, and President Miller's going to talk about that. And then the $4 million gets us a $20 million project, and then it's multiple years of benefits because they're going to be spending. If you remember when we've partnered with the university in the past, you get that past that first 2-year hurdle, and then the system picks up the rest of a lot of those other costs. So I'm going to introduce President Miller, and it's one of those days that let's mark on our calendars that we move this project forward.
Mr. Vasey, before we get to Dr. Miller, what I have to do is I have to open up a public hearing officially. So before I do that, does the board have any questions for Mr. Vasey or any other staff before we open up public hearing? Okay. So now I'll officially open up the public hearing. Are there any comments from the public? So Dr. Miller, I know you have comments. Go ahead. Do I have to announce what time the public hearing opens, Ms. White?
You don't. Just go ahead and open. Thank you.
Okay. Yes,
Thank you,
and
ma'am.
we have a presentation. I will warn you, if you saw it in your notes, it's a little long. I promise you we're not going to cover every slide in detail as we go through it. So President Harris, members of the board, city staff, thank you for this opportunity to present our Type B proposal to support economic development and the educated workforce as it relates to unmanned aircraft systems. As Ian just mentioned, in 2013, the Type A board supported A&M Corpus Christi's bold vision that we would be leaders in what was certain to be a game-changing technology and innovation, unmanned aircraft systems. With the support of $600,000, we were able to secure one of only 7 UAS FAA test sites in the nation, the only one in Texas, right here at the Island University. That initial investment has grown to $22.4 million in funding, and I will tell you that investment is growing every day. The Lone Star UAS Center has directly created 30 new jobs, soon to be 50, and of course, the indirect impact is far greater when it comes to workforce opportunity and opportunity. Lone Star UAS is providing support to our community through emergency management and bringing recognition to our city through UAS leadership and testing, the very first type of testing of its kind when it comes to manned and unmanned aircraft systems. Our current areas of research are expansive and lend themselves to support every type of business and industry imaginable. Our partners are a very impressive list. Unfortunately, due to non-disclosure agreements, I can't tell you their names, but what I can tell you is that among this group includes a Fortune Top 5 retail corporation and a Fortune Top 10 oil and gas partner. Of course, as the premier institution of higher learning here in the Coastal Bend and in South Texas, we work tirelessly to educate the workforce needed to support growth in this field and to educate the future leaders of unmanned aircraft systems innovation. We are also strong partners with the Corpus Christi Regional Economic Development Corporation, working to attract new UAS drone companies to Corpus Christi, as well as to support the opportunities identified in the Newmark Knight Frank Targeted Industry Study, citing drones as the industry that we should be actively pursuing in the Coastal Bend. So, as an industry that has so much incredible opportunity, I just want to make you aware of some of this. The growing demand for commercial and governmental sector as it relates to drone market is $100 billion in 2020, according to Goldman Sachs, and the global sales for commercial drone units is expected to double between 2020 and 2025. So the proposal before you, the request before you, this request will provide the missing pieces needed to attract UAS business to Corpus Christi, thereby maximizing our status as one of only 7 UAS FAA test sites in the nation, the only one in Texas. Texas, the state where technology and industry and innovative businesses are flocking in droves. Additionally, this request will support efforts to diversify Corpus Christi's economy, to support innovation and drone integration into every local industry, including port industries that's interested, position Corpus Christi as a leader in UAS-related emergency management, locally, nationally, and of course for the state, and to enhance our education and research opportunities for students. This is a $4 million request that includes a beyond visual line of sight study, the construction of a state-of-the-art mission control center in downtown Corpus Christi, and the addition of 3 centers, all focused on developing and supporting drone research and industry growth, also located in downtown Corpus Christi. Looking at that beyond line of sight study, the Beyond Line of Sight study is critical for attracting new UAS business to Corpus Christi. The study will cost $250,000 and will result in clearly identified and FAA-approved corridors for drone flights. The largest cost associated with this portion of the request is salary for an aviation safety officer. The request is for the first year of salary only. A&M Corpus Christi will pick up the cost from that point forward. The immediate and extremely conservative impact of this beyond line of sight study would be between $2 to $4 million in funding coming to Corpus. And that's taking our business we currently do in Port Mansfield and bringing it to Corpus, and then allowing us to continue our partnerships with NASA in testing now that we would have identified corridors. But literally, that's a tip of the iceberg when it comes to opportunity. Moving to the Mission Control Center, this is a $2.13 million request that would allow us to develop a second Mission Control Center in downtown Corpus Christi in our building there. The demand already exists for a second Mission Control Center. It's needed to move the work from Port Mansfield that I mentioned earlier, but it will also allow us to expand our research and our services. Additionally, our current Mission Control Center is located in the Flower Bluff building. It is still a high-functioning center, but the technology is 8 years old, so imagine a phone with 8-year-old technology. That's something we need to, well, John has that, but now I think the rest of us have more current phones. But the building design is also, and location are also not ideal when it comes to hurricanes. The building downtown is made of poured concrete and has been through 6 hurricanes and is incredibly solid structure. The major cost associated with the new Mission Control Center is contracting with Thales to design a cutting-edge facility that will maximize all that we have to offer here in the Coastal Bend. Thales is a world leader in air traffic management, and their involvement will greatly enhance our ability to attract new clients, new research partners, and new companies. There will also be an additional position tied to this piece of the request, a senior software developer. Again, we are asking for support for the first year of salary only. We will continue to pick up the salary from that point forward. And finally, we are requesting support for 3 new centers to support drone-related activity and industry in our downtown building. This portion of the request is $1.62 million, and this request is only for the build-out related to these 3 centers in our building on Chaparral. We will cover all the cost of staffing as well as the cost of the rest of that downtown building. Specifically, these 3 centers are the Office of Economic Development and Industry Partnerships. There will be a Center of Innovation with Port Studies, and there will also be a Center for Innovation with Emergency Management. The Emergency Management Center's operations are supported by a $3 million that we were awarded in special items funding during this past legislative session, and our goal is to make Corpus Christi the recognized leaders in drone-supported emergency management for the state, but also for the nation. I did mention a moment ago that we are only requesting funding for the UAS-related build-outs in our downtown building. I know there was a little bit of confusion about that, so I included this graph for clarification. So this shows the total investment that the university is putting into that downtown building, which is $20.4 million. We are requesting $2 million. That's a combination of the request for the Mission Control Center and the 3 supporting centers. That's as far as this is related to this building. So that's less than 10%. But I just wanted to clarify that because I know there was a little confusion about how much we were requesting for the building build-out. Additionally, I know that many of you are very passionate about downtown and the revitalization of downtown. So I threw in this slide just to share what we're looking at as we're projecting the number of staff and business opportunities that we'll have in downtown, the number of guests we plan to have in our building. This includes what we're asking for in this request, but it also goes beyond that and what we're looking to do with the entire building. So I hope that doesn't add any confusion, but I did know that you were all very passionate about what's happening downtown, and I just wanted you to get a sense of the entirety of that project. The total request for this proposal is $4 million, and the timeline for costs is outlined here on this slide. Please note that our timeline does allow for some flexibility in a fourth year. We've left that blank and noted areas where we have flexibility. So if we would need to shift some funds around to work with y'all's budget, we can certainly do that, and we are certainly willing to work with y'all to make sure that we have what we need to make sure everyone is successful. Now, as I stated when we spoke last, it is our hope that this funding, that this investment will be a catalyst for expanding Corpus Christi's economic development portfolio, allowing the city and Texas A&M University Corpus Christi to be recognized for their prominence in UAS technology, advancing innovation, and attracting new industries. It is our hope that this will result in a partnership that this community will one day look back on as an incredible, positive milestone in the history of our city and of our region, and of course, of the Island University. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Any questions for Dr. Miller? Before we ask questions, are there any further public comments? Anybody else from the public? Okay. John, you have a question for Dr. Miller?
I do. Dr. Miller, thank you. I'm looking at the timeline for the funding in year one. Can you maybe put that in fiscal years for us? Is that going to be 22 or 23, year one?
22.
It'll be in 22? Okay. And then year two is obviously 23, 24. Okay. You know, I appreciate you reaching out to us and really educating us on this. And I recently watched a program about GPS and how GPS was starting to be developed. It was in 1989, and they had the program director, they were interviewing him, and it was coming through the Air Force and how the Air Force didn't want it. But some of the civilian leadership of the Air Force basically squeezed him and said, hey, we're going to develop this. And obviously, you know where GPS has gone. Yes. So I hope that one day people will look back and look at us as the catalyst for whatever is going to be in the future for this type of technology. Because my iPhone 1, even though it still works, it's not pulling up the attachment. But I just think it's a great opportunity for us, and I think it's going to be an opportunity to put us on the map. And I'm a big proponent of the university, and anytime we have an opportunity, you know, to fund programs like this, I'm all for it.
Well, and everything we do to help enhance the city, particularly around this kind of technology, allows us to attract students that are interested in this kind of thing, faculty that are interested in this, and we just continue to all rise together. So it's a wonderful to partner with the city, because it definitely benefits the university, and then in turn it benefits the city. And so it's a really it's very fortunate for this university to be located in a progressive-minded city like Corpus Christi at a time where we're looking to advance downtown and looking to advance our economic development into a lot of different areas.
Yeah, most definitely. And Ian, thanks for bringing it forward to us and for having a board that's very positive and moving it forward. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Scott.
Okay, seeing no further comments, the public hearing. Okay, you want me to close the public hearing first? I'll see. So no further comments. The public hearing is closed. We've got a couple more comments or questions from the board. Ms. Olivari, go ahead.
Hi, thank you very much, Doctor. Just a couple of quick. I'm reminded of IC2 Institute at the University of Texas, and when that started, and is now, you know, said to be sort of the way that the whole real tech industry launched in Austin, and I think it's kind of interesting to hear this here. But one of the things they did pretty quickly was establish what seemed to be sort of odd graduate programs focused on commercialization of technology. Are y'all doing
Yes,
any?
we're looking at expanding several different kinds of opportunities. We're looking at advancing commercialization on campus, taking our incubation, our
Right.
business incubation there, and changing that model to better support commercialization and that incubator piece versus just sort of helping businesses once they've established, but really going more after what you might know as a geekdom model, which we
Right.
see in San Antonio. So moving some of those forward to really help capitalize on this. We have some incredible minds on campus, and we want to get them supported and get them thinking and working together and really help them establish ideas and businesses coming right out of college so that they stay right here in the Coastal Bend.
I guess what I was going towards too, that's great, but I was also going towards, like, they established a Master of
Oh,
Science.
yeah, no, academic programs,
do you
absolutely.
have, I mean, do we have a Master of
We have a
Science?
PhD in geospatial computing science, and
Right.
so, and then we have,
Master's programs?
yeah, and we have master's programs and undergraduate programs as well, and we have a lot of students that work at our UAS,
Right.
Lone Star UAS Center, but then we are expanding coursework all the time. One of the things that's nice about our size, because we're a smaller institution, is that we can really do interdisciplinary things much more easily than larger institutions, and so we are really exploring as part of our next strategic plan, how do we have some degrees that nobody has yet, where
Yeah,
there are going to be
that's
those
what I was thinking,
cutting-edge
like a
interdisciplinary degrees.
drone Yeah, I mean, I think that, and then you can talk to KEDT about a program on it or something.
Right.
So the word really gets out. But second question I had to do with these specialized centers within the buildings. So obviously, you've got 3 of them. Are they going to be like paying rent, or are they?
No,
at
we will
least
support those, and we would support the staffing of those. So they will be part of the university.
So I just recall reading something about the port making a major contribution to iPorts. I don't know that that's happened, but it was in the news, and so
No.
it hasn't happened.
No, it has not. And we would, we've had talks at different times. We do major programming with them. So we are under lots of contracts with the port right
Right.
now. So we're doing a lot of work with the port. And looking at the Heart Research Institute model, which is kind of what we're looking at with these 3 centers, it's bringing work that's sort of happening in pieces across campus together, centralizing it, giving it a focus, but also giving the community a place they can come. So you're thinking about, well, maybe could drones be in my business? How would I do that? What would that look like? Then you have a place you can come, and we can start working with you and helping you to develop that and think through that, and then look at whether there's policy issues, whether there's training issues, whatever it might be. Maybe it's the need for new technology, and we have some researchers that might help with that. And ultimately, the goal would be to have an endowment that would also support faculty researchers that would
Yeah, that would be great.
that would then
I guess I'm being a little more mercenary, Doctor. I mean, I think it's great for us to participate. Don't get me wrong; it's a fabulous project, and I do think it can be a game changer for Corpus Christi. But I'm just wondering if we've explored other
Yes.
possible partnerships.
Oh, absolutely. And we
in
are-
the community that could help.
Yes.
Instead of coming to us for year 3, that might end up paying out.
Well,
some
I
of
mean,
that.
there are definitely other partnerships we're exploring in all kinds of areas related to this.
Right.
And for example, we're working with TDM, Texas Department of Emergency Management. The building has the possibility of being able to be shifted into a emergency management center because it will have all the state-of-the-art facilities in there. We're going to build accordingly, and we're working with Chief Nemkid on that right now,
Right.
and they, of course, always come with resources. We have been in partnership with the port for a long time and are exploring opportunities to expand there, but also all these other industries that we're working with as well.
So when we maybe contribute or set aside a maximum of $4 million, if y'all have opportunities to, knowing how limited our money really is, I mean, we don't have a lot, I assume you'll try to look for other opportunities.
Oh, yes,
to
absolutely.
bring other partners in that might decrease our year 3, let's say, $2.6 million, or whatever the number is.
Or to expand, the other
Okay.
piece would be to help to expand what we're doing, and then our hope would be to generate more tax income. So, as we're bringing industries in and as they're working,
yeah,
that
of
would
course.
that would also be
Yeah.
another major way to contribute.
I mean, I guess what I might lack, 1 million first year, but we're kind of pushing off half the money until year 3 without really seeing what happens in year 1 and year 2. I mean, it's not a deal killer for me, but it's just something that's been weighing on me a little bit. I mean, more than half the money that you're potentially going to need isn't until year 3.
Well, we'd take it all in the first year if you want to give it to us.
Oh, I see.
I would be happy to take it all
Well, then,
at the
then,
be-
then explain to me the timing of when you're going to make this happen. Maybe I don't
Well,
understand.
as we're working through the pieces, so we get reimbursed for pieces. So we will immediately start building that mission control center, and then we would see that would be the time that would be reimbursed. We would immediately start the study for the beyond visual line of sight. So that would start immediately. So we would like to have the mission control center finished so they come on board at the same time. So we pace them out in that way. So because we're paid after the fact,
Right,
we get,
right,
you
I
get, so we looked at, okay, when would this piece be complete, or when would we have this contract in place? And that's how we developed the timeline.
So there is sequential. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I think we're done. Do we have any other comments from the board at this time? Okay, hearing no comments, I'll take a motion to approve. And
Motion to approve. Second.
okay, we have a few motions, a couple of seconds.
Do we need to state the,
Yeah, so we have a motion to approve. Well, I've already stated it at the very beginning, so there's no amendments.
It's just
to
as
this.
presented by staff, right? So
Yeah.
on your agenda. Yeah, I can
It's
just,
a
we
$4
can read
million
the whole thing out.
$4 million.
If,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, if you want to read the whole, you can read it again if you,
Sure.
just for clarity. Everybody's
So we
good?
have a
Because it's what's
motion.
on the agenda.
Yeah, we have a motion authorizing the B Corporation for a business incentive agreement with A&M Corpus Christi in the amount not to succeed $4 million for the Lone Star Unmanned Aircraft Systems Center, which amends our FY22 budget to appropriate $1.103 million for the first year of funding,
Could you note the first?
and the first year being fiscal year '22.
Thank you.
So that's the motion?
Right.
Yeah, that's the motion, and we have a
That's my
second?
motion. Well said, Scott.
Okay. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, the motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Ian and Dr. Miller. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Item 2 on the agenda, we've got one more item of business here before we conclude, is a motion approving 7 small business assistance agreements, one with Lift Fund, one with SCORE, one with Texas A&M Corpus Christi, and 4 with Del Mar College, in a total amount not to exceed $701,800, amending the FY 21-22 budget previously approved by the board.
So
and
moved.
appro-
So move. Second.
Okay.
Another great Randy presentation. Thank you, Randy.
One,
Okay, we do have to open the public hearing,
So
yeah,
I-
at some point.
because these are funded through the B Corporation, by law, we have to open up a public hearing for these, since they're incentive agreements. So it seems like the board wants to move ahead. I'll open up without the staff presentation, we'll hold on that right now. We'll open up the public hearing. Can I,
Close it.
yeah,
Yeah,
can I
just
just move straight to the public
Yes,
hearing
sir.
on this? Okay. So we'll open up the public hearing. Any comments from the public on these items? I hear crickets. Okay, seeing no comments, the public hearing is closed. Now I'll take a motion to
So
approve.
move. Second.
You let me go this time.
Yeah, okay,
So
go ahead.
moved.
Second. Who moved and seconded?
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay. Item J is Executive Director comments, which I missed on the last, last meeting, but
Yeah, we don't
I'll
have,
give, Peter
no
a
comments this
second here.
time, right? I think our next regular meeting will be just that, the regularly scheduled meeting, right? So we'll be working on that agenda for September.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Olivari, before we close?
Yeah, I just wanted to express, I'm sure the whole board's condolences to Richard Martinez's family and y'all on the staff. I mean, I know he did a lot of hard work getting the Type B street work underway and accomplished, and I know that was a great loss for y'all and for his family, so sorry to hear that.
Thanks, Leah, for saying that. There be no further business. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.